I'd like to check with you about Andre. He'll miss his 10th straight game. I think you said back at Media Day, the expectation was he would not play every game and injuries do pop up. Do you think he'll be able to play in 3/4 of the game, half of the games? What do you see for him this season?
I don't know, but I think he's going to play on this upcoming trip. He's getting a lot better. Been on the court now the last 4 or 5 days, getting shots up. So he's made great improvement, and he should be playing soon.
What's the update on, is Porter back tonight, I assume, or?
Excuse me?
Is Porter available? Everybody else available tonight?
Yeah, Porter will play tonight.
And what about Kuminga and Moody? How did they play in Santa Cruz? And what do you sort of see, Kuminga in particular, as his role, and how much opportunity you expect him to get in the coming games on this trip, for example?
Yeah, I think the plan for the two rookies is to do what we've been doing, which is sprinkle in some Santa Cruz experience with some game experience here. Circumstances will dictate how much they play here. Injuries, their own progress, all that stuff factors in. And we'll continue to utilize Santa Cruz option often so that they can play big minutes and continue to get reps. So it's all part of what I think is a very natural progression.
Did you watch any of their games down in Santa Cruz?
I saw the first one, but not the second one yet.
What are just the reports? What if you liked anything or didn't like anything?
I think the biggest thing is just getting reps and understanding what wins and what doesn't. They're both obviously in the lottery. There's just a recognition of, winning plays and repeating those types of plays over and over again. And by that, I mean just making the right defensive read, making the right rotation, and then recognizing that if you do that over and over and over again as a team, as a group, then your team has a chance to win. That's the hardest part for rookies to understand when they come into this league, especially young guys who didn't play much in college. The NBA game can swing wildly on one play if you don't execute that play. And the whole point of being a good team is to execute over and over again and try to wear a team down with that execution. So recognizing that in game is really important. It's similar to young quarterbacks in the NFL, not turning the ball over. I mean, it's like not taking too much risk, stuff like that. I mean, there's just got to be a feel for what wins at this level, and it's not anything you can just tell someone. They have to actually feel it.
Steve, we always know that Steph is a unique player, but are you surprised at all that the new guys that came in this season have adapted so quickly to learn how to play with him for the most part?
Not really, because just the guys we brought in their respective careers have shown great feel. Belly and Otto immediately come to mind. Guys who have played important roles on teams, but they know how to pass, they know how to move, they know how to space the floor. So they've been really perfect fits next to Steph, and it's been really a smooth transition.
And is James able to do any more now than he was able to do a week, 10 days ago?
He's still not scrimmaging, so he continues to work on the court and do individual work on the court. So whether that's more now than 10 days ago, I don't know. It's just that's really up to Rick and his staff. When I'll notice is when he's scrimmaging, and he hasn't done that yet.
Coach, what do you primarily attribute your defensive success to? That number one rank.
Well, number one, Draymond for sure. I mean, Draymond sets the tone for us on defense, just like Steph sets the tone on offense. And, when you have such a great defensive player on your team, you can build around that person. So we build our defense around Draymond. And then I think we have a lot of veteran players who understand how to play next to him. And we've had a defensive system in place here for years that hasn't really changed much. And a group of guys who have the continuity to understand each other. So, Looney and Steph and, Wiggins has now been here a couple of years. And, Payton job with them and
will Clay's progression be? Do you know what that looks like this coming week? I know it's a new week now.
Yeah, more scrimmaging. He scrimmaged today again and looked great, and he continues to ramp up the action, and he's feeling good. His stamina continues to improve, and so all good on the Clay front.
What kind of minutes burst do you know that he did today? I mean, was it more than? Yeah,
we've continued to ramp it up each week.
And are you continuing to like the tweaks that you made with the way you guys are practicing? I know we've talked about that, but it's been a little while, and is it still doable all the time? I mean, with when you're on the road, are you still kind of able to do that when you're bouncing around?
Yeah, we haven't had a ton of actual practice days lately. We've had a lot of very short practices, but when we do have a full practice like we'll have tomorrow, we've maintained the same structure, and it's been very popular with the players and coaches, so we'll continue to do it that way.
Following up on that question about your defense, what sort of happened Saturday? The first three quarters, obviously very uncharacteristic to give up that many points. And then the fourth quarter obviously clamped down and only gave up 13.
Yeah. I mean, the energy was clearly lacking from the start. And when you lack energy defensively, it means you're not pressuring the ball. It means you're not rotating as quickly. It means you're not, helping the helper. It means you're not boxing out as well. I mean, all those things factor in, and it all starts with energy. And frankly, we were just kind of wiped out emotionally, physically. And so we'll hopefully bounce back tonight and have a better effort.
As kind of the extended nature of James' rehab process, has that changed what you think he can maybe give you this season? I mean, at this point, I assume he won't be back until at least, 2022, essentially.
It hasn't changed anything with my thinking. More than anything, I just feel bad for James because I'm dying for him to get out there for his own, well-being and improvement, and where he is in his young career. It's this, he's too young for something like this to happen. So I feel bad for him, but he's maintained a really good attitude, and he comes in every day and he gets his work in, and whenever he gets out there, and then we'll assess at that point and kind of decide what, how we want to use him and how much we want to throw at him.
Steve, do you know whether Clay is going to travel with you guys when you head out?
Stay here.
Zoom here. Let's go with Kobe.
Hey, Steve. Kobe Price from the Atlanta Sentinel. Had two questions for you, two quick questions, hopefully. Franz Wagner was a guy closely linked to your team before the draft. What do you remember about his pre-draft process experience in the workouts?
Who's that?
Franz Wagner.
Franz. I was in Tokyo during the pre-draft process, but I was reading the reports from our front office and watching workouts online. And I know our front office was very high on him. And the reports that I read were all about just the impressive size and athleticism and feel for the game. And he's definitely backed that up. He's played really well.
And from what you heard back then, I know you said it was more so reading reports from the front office, but did you expect him to be this consistent and steady on both ends as a rookie this early on?
You know, just honestly, since it's not my department, I don't really assess all the rookies. I don't watch a ton of college basketball, so I just know that our scouts were right with their assessment in terms of his ability to move his feet defensively and the size, verticality at the rim, but also his ability to play make and pass the ball. All those things that I read in the report have turned out to be dead on, and he's playing well. But I didn't have expectations either way because I didn't know much about him before that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go to Nikias. Go ahead.
How you doing, Coach? Just a quick question for you. Obviously, Steph is pretty highly regarded as the best shooter ever, but he's also been for years now one of the most dangerous screeners that we've seen in the league. What was kind of the inspiration between you in using him in that kind of role, and what was the buy-in with that?
Talking about Steph?
Yes.
Yeah, he played so much off the ball growing up. He wasn't really a point guard at Davidson, more of a two guard at Davidson. And so when he got to the NBA, he started handling the ball more, but he was still really lethal running off screens. And so we wanted to use him in both capacities. And I never really asked him about setting screens. I just sort of drew up some plays and had him do it. And it was incredibly powerful because, number one, because of the way he shoots, but number two, because he was just a great screener. I think he learned, probably at Davidson under Bob McKillop and maybe in high school before that. He just learned the game at a pretty high level. And Steph's a lot stronger than people realize. Kind of reminds me of John Stockton in that regard. Stockton used to be a great screen setter and was not afraid to, screen across the lane and take on some big guy and, open up the lane for Karl Malone. Steph's the same way. He'll hold on to a screen and free up his teammates and then pop out on the weak side for a shot. And it's a big part of his game, and it's one of the things that makes him very unique. Because most other guys who play his position don't possess all of that, in their skill set.
Okay, thank you.
One more on Zoom before we go to Kerr. Alex, go ahead.
Hey, Steve. Alex Espinoza with 95.7 The Game. Gary Payton said he's focused on developing his shooting this season. Have you seen that improve? And how much would that help his game and just the second unit overall?
Yeah, Gary's worked hard on his shot. He worked really hard all summer. It showed in summer league. He shot the ball well there, and it's shown up, through a quarter of the season. He's knocking down the corner three with good consistency, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. And there's never been a question about his defensive acumen. He's bounced around the league. Because he's a great defender, but he hasn't been able to stick, partly because, it's been a tough fit offensively. Even for us last year, even though we loved him as a defender, I didn't play him a ton. And we struggled to find combinations and struggled to find the right way to use him. But his shooting has improved, which has helped. And then I think playing with these guys here, the shooting that we have on our roster allows us to play him kind of as a big, as a screener and a diver, and that's been helpful too. But I think the biggest thing is Gary's just worked, and he's earned this.